So good morning once again, dear students of class 11 and also the students of class 12 who are revising. Once again, let's continue with the Tempest, and in our previous video we had finished off with the Act 2 scene 1 of the play, and today let us begin with the next scene, that is Act 2 scene 2. So the pages, as you can see mentioned on your screen also, are 67, 68 and 69 from your textbook. So please take out page 67, and on your screen you'll be able to see the pages which are mentioned here on your screen right now. And here you can see a scene which is an artist's illustration of what happens in the scene. Here there are three characters. I'll just move it a bit up and down so that you can see it in a better way. See, the first one is from your left, that is Caliban, the deformed slave of Prospero, and then you have Stefano. He is the drunken butler, and he is trying to pour some drink into the mouth of Caliban. And you can see that Caliban has a lot of hair on his body, and he looks ugly, and he has pointed ears. And behind them, you can see crawling on the ground, wearing a cap which is generally the cap of a jester or a fool, the official fool in the king's court. That is Trinculo, the jester. And here the three of them will create a lot of humor, which will provide us with some sort of comedy in this particular scene. So let us try to see what we have initially in the introduction of the scene. I'm scrolling up to the page, the first page of the scene. You can see on your screen Act 2 Scene 2, and you have page 67. Caliban bearing his logs. Caliban, who is carrying the logs because he has been told to bring in more firewood by Prospero, he meets Trinculo. He believes him to be one of the spirits whom Prospero sent to torture him. Now, Prospero was in the habit of, setting his spirits by means of Ariel upon Caliban, so that Caliban should do the work, because Caliban would often oppose Prospero and would try to misbehave with Prospero and disobey Prospero. So this was the normal manner in which he tried to keep Caliban under control. Now, as a storm is blowing, Trinculo takes shelter under Caliban's cloak. What is a cloak? Cloak is a long flowing robe or long flowing dress. The two are lying together on the ground when Stefano staggers. Staggers means walks like a drunkard. Being drunk, Stefano gives Caliban a drink from his bottle. That is the scene which you saw. Caliban, taking him for a god, enters gladly into his service. So Caliban decides that he will serve, henceforth he will be serving Stefano and not Prospero anymore. So scene 2, another part of the island, the same uninhabited island where Prospero lives. Enter Caliban with a burden of wood. Caliban carrying a bundle. Burden means weight, a certain amount or weight of wood. He is carrying the wood, and he enters when there is the noise of thunder heard. Now, remember that this is a scene which is being enacted on the stage, and so it was necessary to create an environment or an effect of thunder, sound of thunder. So from the backstage, this sound is created. Now, in those days, there was no option for recording, no option for downloading and using sounds and music from the internet or the YouTube, nothing like that. So all these sounds had to be artificially created. So anyway, so there is a noise of thunder heard, and that gives the indication that there is going to be a storm. A storm is approaching. Now Caliban is shown here. Now he is talking, and when he talks, this speech of Caliban is supposed to be his soliloquy. This is called a soliloquy. You must have come across this term soliloquy before. Soliloquy. Soliloquy means when you see a character on the stage talking to himself. And by means of this device, the soliloquy, The playwright achieves the purpose of making his audience understand what is going on in the mind of that particular character who is speaking. Now here Caliban speaks. He is cursing Prospero as he is carrying the logs in his arms. He has to carry wood and the weather is foul, and he is cursing Prospero. And he says, all the infections that the sun sucks up from bogs, fens, flats on Prospero fall and make him by inch meal a disease. Let all the contamination, all kinds of infection that the sun, burning sun in the sky, eradicates from the earth, because when the sun comes out, many germs and many infections actually die out because of the bright rays of the sun. So let those infections which normally come from bogs or marshes, fens also mean marshes, or flats meaning flat areas, let all those infections not be killed by the sun, but these infections I wish fall upon Prospero, and inch by inch make him a victim of those infections. Inch meal a disease. So let him suffer bit by bit, inch by inch, because of those infections. So he's cursing. In a way, put it in simpler terms, he is just cursing Prospero. And then he says, his spirits hear me, and yet I needs must curse. His spirits, the spirits who serve Prospero, those invisible spirits can hear what I am saying. They will report to Prospero whatever I am saying. I know that, but then I have no choice. I have to curse him. Even if for that matter I have to suffer some kind of punishment, I don't care. I have to curse, he says. But they'll nor pinch, fright me with urchin shows, pitch me in the mire. So he says that they will frighten me. They will neither pinch, nor frighten me with urchin shows. What are urchin shows? That is, they will appear in the form of goblins shaped as hedgehogs. Okay, so they will come before me and pitch me in the mire, and they will toss me and smear me as if with pitch. So this is what they are going to do. They will throw me down and they will make me suffer. They will come in the form of hedgehogs. So the spirits of Prospero can actually take any shape. So they'll take the shape of hedgehogs, and hedgehogs have bristles on their body, and they will come and I'll have to step on them. Suddenly they will be in front of me. Before I can control my footsteps, I'll step on them and I'll fall into maybe the mire, and sometimes maybe they will lead me like a firebrand in the dark out of my way unless you bid him. So sometimes they will be misguiding me to move towards the direction which is not a proper area, which is actually a marshy land. There will be this phosphorescent light which keeps going off and on in marshy areas. So you must have read, especially the students of science, you know about marsh gases. I'm sure you know. So in unhealthy marshes or bog areas or wasteland areas, at night these marsh gases burn by themselves as they come in contact with the atmosphere. So they create a hallucination or a kind of illusion or a kind of a kind of scene as if some kind of fire is burning and then going off. So they will be possibly, these spirits of Prospero will possibly drag me to the marshland. But then he says that okay, so hedgehogs, before I move on, there is an explanation about hedgehogs given alongside. Please have a look. It says small creatures which can roll themselves into the shape of a ball when they apprehend danger. And then he says that the spirits of Prospero will torture him in many different ways. One is by taking the form of hedgehogs. Another is by taking the form of firebrand or marsh gases burning in the dark. But for every trifle are they set upon me. But then for every small reason, Prospero sets his spirits upon me. Sometime like apes that mow and chatter at me, and after bite me. Sometimes the spirits take the shape of apes or monkeys, and they make faces at me and even show their teeth teeth to me and ultimately even go to the extent of biting me. Then, like hedgehogs, which lie rumbling in my barefoot way and mount their pricks at my footfall. Sometimes they take the shape of hedgehogs and they lie down where my foot is supposed to fall, and I step on them. And because of the fact that the hedgehogs have bristles on their body, just like porcupines, even hedgehogs, these are smaller species of porcupines, you could say. I step on them and I get hurt because those quills actually prick under my feet. Sometime am I all wound with adders. Sometimes snakes, the spirits take the shape of snakes, poisonous snakes. Adders are snakes, and they, encircle me or wind up around my body and start with their forked tongues sticking out again and again. They start to hiss at me near my face and drive me to some kind of madness because I am scared in mortal fear. I just simply almost go basically mad. So this is how Prospero tortures me even for small reasons. Lo, here comes a spirit of his. So while he is saying this, suddenly he sees some movement ahead of him and he realizes that somebody is coming in his direction. So he says, oh my goodness, now see, now who is coming here? I'm sure it is another spirit sent by Prospero, and to torment me for bringing wood in slowly. And I must have taken a lot of time. I am late, because of which Prospero has sent this spirit to torment me or to trouble me or torture me. I'll fall flat. Perchance he will not mind me. I will lie down flat upon the ground. So perhaps he will not notice me. He will just pass by. He lies down. So saying this, he lies down. Now the soliloquy is over. We move on to page 68. Enter Trinculo. Trinculo is actually one of the members of the royal group or the royal party. And Trinculo has got separated from the king and the others in the group. And he's loitering around aimlessly in the island. And that is how he comes upon Caliban. Now enter Trinculo. Trinculo is actually a jester. A jester is an official fool or clown in the king's court. His job is to make people laugh. That's his job. That's what he's appointed for. He's supposed to be an entertainer. So in the olden times, when there was no, when the world did not have modern means of entertainment like television or radio or internet, generally the kings and only the kings could afford to keep such people. There were different types of courtiers, then court poets, court astrologers, court doctors, and even court clowns. So Trinculo is the official fool in the court of King Alonso, but he has got separated from the rest of the group and he is loitering about in this island, and now he has come upon Caliban. Now Trinculo says, here's neither bush nor shrub. Here, this area of this island does not have any bush, does not have any undergrowth. It's a completely barren piece of ground to bear off any weather at all. And a storm is approaching. The thunder is, the thunderbolts can be heard. The lot of rumbling in the sky. And here there is not even a single bush where I can take shelter. I don't know where to go. I'm in the open area and there is no possibility of any kind of shelter. So I cannot protect myself from the changing weather at all. And another storm brewing, and one more storm is brewing. Why another storm? Because the first storm was the storm in the sea, because of which their ship capsized and they fell into the seawater. And then when he came to his senses, maybe Trinculo discovered that he is on the shore of this island and he is loitering about, and suddenly once more he hears the thunder. And so he realizes that another storm is brewing. Brewing means developing. I hear it sing in the wind. I can hear the sound of the approaching storm in the whistling of the wind. I can hear that the wind is whistling. That means a storm is approaching. Gradually the whistling of the wind will increase and the intensity of the blowing of the wind will also increase. Yon same black cloud, yon huge one, looks like a foul bombard. So over there in the sky, yon means yonder, yonder means over there. That huge cloud in the sky, it looks like a bombard. What is a bombard? So the bombard is a vessel holding liquor. So this huge cloud, it is full of water. Actually, he looks at the sky and he can see the dark nimbus cloud in the sky, and he realizes that the storm is approaching, and this cloud is soon going to rain down, and he has to find a place where he can take shelter. So that is why he's saying this. So it looks like a bombard that would shed his liquor. It won't be long before this huge cloud starts shedding whatever liquid it contains, that is water. If it should thunder as it did before, I know not where to hide my head. So this is very simple English. If it once again thunders in the sky, I don't know where I'll be hiding my head. Yon the same cloud cannot choose but fall by pailfuls. I am very sure that that cloud in the sky, when it starts pouring, it will be pouring bucket after bucket of water upon me unless I find a shelter for myself. And suddenly he notices Caliban lying down on the ground. Of course, Caliban is not visible because he has a long flowing cloak and he has covered himself with that and is lying down. What have we here? A man or a fish? Dead or alive? So he probably inspects, and then he discovers that Caliban has scales on his body. So he says, he looks at the inert figure lying on the ground, and he says, what is it? Is it a human being? Is it a man? Or is it a fish? Dead or alive? Is it dead or alive? Now Caliban is lying perfectly still. He is not moving. A fish. He smells like a fish. And then he decides that it must be a fish, because Caliban has the foul smell of a fish from his body. And so he looks at Caliban and he decides that he should call him a fish. A very ancient and fish-like smell, a kind of not of the newest Poor John. Poor John reference is given here. You can just see line 28, Poor John, the name of a kind of saltwater fish. So this fish is an old fish. Must have come out of water long ago. That's why the smell is so awful. It's not a fresh fish. That's what he means to say. Poor John means fish. So it's not the newest Poor John. That means it's not a fresh fish. It's an old fish. It must have been brought out of water long ago and it must be rotting already. So it's a strange fish. Were I in England now, as once I was, and had but this fish painted, not a holiday fool there but would give a piece of silver. There would this monster make a man. Any strange beast there makes a man. So if I happen to be in England, like I was once before, and if I could possibly have taken this fish to England, that is depicted or shown this fish to the people there, well, I could have earned a lot of money, because every fool out to enjoy a holiday would have paid a silver coin to see this fish. So I would have made a lot of money. There would this monster make a man. There, this monster fish would have made the fortune of a man. Any strange beast there makes a man. In fact, in England, the English people are such that if you take odd things there, they will pay to see. The British people are so foolish that they will pay money to see strange things. And any beast taken to England, therefore, makes the fortunes of a man. When they will not give a doit to relieve a lame beggar, whereas these British people will not even spend a doit. A doit is a small Dutch coin. So even the smallest coin is not given by these British people to help a lame beggar. But they will give a coin, if they will give a silver coin if necessary, if you take any odd object to England. So English people are like that. They are very, very mean-minded. So look who is saying all this. William Shakespeare himself, who was himself British. And this is an English play written in England, though the backdrop of this play and the setting of this play is somewhere away from England. But basically it is a British playwright, William Shakespeare, and he is criticizing the English attitude or English nature. And he says that British people are like that. They will not give a doit to relieve a lame beggar. They will lazy out 10 to see a dead Indian. But if you show them A North American Indian, Indian here refers to Red Indian. Even if you bring the dead body of a Red Indian, these British people will spend a fortune to see him. Legged like a man, and again he comments about Caliban. Oh, he has legs like a man, and his fins like arms. And his fins, though he is a fish, he has scales on his body, but then he seems to have arms for fins. Warm, oh my troth, he must have touched Caliban now to feel his body, and he feels that Caliban's body is warm. So he says, warm, oh my troth. Truthfully speaking, I can swear in the name of my truth that he is warm. I swear by he swears by his faith. I do now let loose my opinion, hold it no longer. This is no fish, but an islander. No, I think I have to change my opinion. I will not hold the previous opinion any longer. I think it's not a fish. It is the resident or the inhabitant of this island. It must be an islander. Here in this strange island, the creatures who live here are like him. So this must be an islander that had lately suffered by a thunderbolt. He must have been struck by thunder because the sky was thundering. So he makes an assumption that he must have been struck by thunderbolt, and that's how he has fallen down flat unconscious. And the moment he says thunderbolt, there is another crack of loud noise made by the thunder. Alas, the storm is come again. Alas, the storm has once again come. My best way is to creep under his gabardine. Gabardine means garment. So the best way that I can save myself from the thunder is to crawl under the loose cloak worn by this islander. Let me crawl under his. So what does he do? He crawls under the clothes of Caliban. He is crawling under the clothes of Caliban, and so as he crawls under the clothes of Caliban, he says, there is no other shelter hereabout. So in this place, there is no other scope for taking shelter anywhere. Misery acquaints a man with strange bedfellows. So what he means to say is that when you are in misery, misery makes a man here put up with strange companions. So when you have no choice, when you are in a miserable state, then you have to go to bed with strange people or strangers whom you don't even know. I will here shroud till the dregs of the storm be past. So I will take rest here. I will be hiding here, or rather protecting my head from the storm as long as the storm rages, and once the storm passes, I will come out. And he creeps under Caliban's garment. Now, as he has just creeped under Caliban's garment, and Caliban is still not moving, he is lying still because he is dead scared. Now see the funny part. Caliban thinks that it is a spirit sent by Prospero, and so he decided to lie down hoping that the spirit will not notice him. But the spirit now crawls under his cloak. So he is stiff with fear, and then Stefano enters the scene now. So this is the third character appearing on the scene. Enter Stefano singing, a bottle in his hand. Stefano says, I shall no more to sea. So he is singing a song. I shall no longer go to the sea again. Here shall I die ashore. Here shall I spend the remaining days of my life, and here will I die on the shore of this island. So he changes the song. He does not like it. After singing 2 lines, he says, this is a very scurvy tune. This is a very hateful tune. Scurvy means despicable. So I don't like it. I'll sing something else. This is a very scurvy tune to sing at a man's funeral. In fact, this is such a song that it should be sung at the funeral of someone, because I'm talking about death. So I don't want to sing it. Here's my comfort. So I want to comfort myself, and I want to forget about the fact that I have been singing this song about death. So he drinks. He has a bottle in his hand and he drinks from the bottle. Now we move on to page 69, and then he starts singing the next song. The master, the swabber, the boatswain and I, the gunner and his mate, loved Moll, Meg and Marian. So he is singing a sailor's song. The master is the captain of the ship. The swabber is one who washes the deck with a mop. And the boatswain is the first officer under the captain. So these 3 men on board a ship, they and also the gunner and his mate. So the gunner is the one who operates the gun on board the ship, and his mate is his assistant or his companion. So there are total 5 men mentioned here. All these 5 men are sailors, and they loved these 3, or rather 4 women. Loved Moll, Meg, and Marion and Marjorie. So Moll, Meg, Marion, Marjorie. Notice that all the 4 women have names starting with M. But none of us cared for Kate. Now, when 5 men are mentioned in the song, there should be 5 women also. So this is a love song for the sailors. But none of us cared for Kate, for she had a tongue with a tang. So nobody cared for Kate because Kate had a very sharp tongue. So she used to speak with a very shrill sound, and that's the reason nobody cared for Kate. For she had a tongue with a tang, would cry to a sailor, go hang. So she was so bad or ill-tempered that she would cry to a sailor or shout at a sailor and tell him to go and hang himself. She loved not the savour of tar nor of pitch. So she did not like the smell of tar or pitch. Now, tar or pitch was a common ingredient which was used for making the ships waterproof, because in those days, in the olden times, ships were made of wooden boards, and so tar or pitch was used to layer the bottom of the ship from inside so that it should be waterproof. Now, if you are dating a sailor, or if you want to become the girlfriend of a sailor, then you must get accustomed to the smell of tar, because the sailor often deals with tar. They have to keep painting and repairing the ship, so there is a smell of tar coming from the body of a sailor very often. So if you cannot tolerate that, then you should not have an affair with a sailor. So that is what the song tries to say. So he would cry to a sailor, go hang. She loved not the savour of tar nor of pitch. Then to see boys and let her go hang. So let's go out into the sea, boys. Come on, boys, now. And let's not bother about Kate, because she is so foul a woman who has such a nasty tongue. Let her go and hang herself. So he sings this song. And then again he does not like the song, and he says, this is a scurvy tune too. This too is a bad tune. I don't like it. Actually, he is drunk. So any song he's singing, whatever is coming to his mind, he's singing. But when he's singing it, then he's not liking it after some time. So this too is a scurvy tune, but here's my comfort. And he drinks once again from his bottle. Caliban says, do not torment me, oh. Now, in the meantime, there is a, like shifting and, hustle and bustle going on under the cloak of Caliban, because Trinculo has crawled under his cloak, and Caliban is scared, as I told you. He is in mortal fear that the spirit of Prospero, sent by Prospero, has crawled under his cloak. So he's screaming, he's loudly saying, don't torture me, don't trouble me, please. Oh, don't torment me. So he says this. Now Stefano says, what's the matter? Stefano notices that there is some movement on the ground. Now because he's a drunkard, he had not noticed, but now when Caliban speaks up, he looks at the ground and he says, have we devils here? Do you put tricks upon us with savages and men of Ind? Ha, I have not escaped drowning to be afeard now of your 4 legs. Now what has happened is, the whole of this scene is amusing. See, you can see alongside there is an explanation given. It's very amusing. The funniest part of the comedy here is that Caliban mistakes a human being for a spirit, and that Stefano mistakes Caliban for a monster, just as Trinculo had taken him for a fish. Now Stefano's drunkenness makes the scene even more amusing, and afterwards Caliban also gets drunk. So he says, do we have devils here? Do you put tricks upon us with savages and men of Ind? So are you trying to trick us? Are you trying to trick us with men of Ind? The reference is to the Red Indians, the original natives of America. So have we really survived the shipwreck? I have not escaped drowning. Escaped means escaped. I did not escape drowning to be alive here on this island and to be scared of some kind of Red Indian or some kind of devil or some kind of monster. Now he says, you seem to have 4 legs, for it hath been said, as proper a man as ever went on 4 legs cannot make him give ground. and it shall be said so again. So he says that, well, you seem to have, you seem to be a fine fellow, he says. And as far as you are concerned, you must yield to me. He says that you must yield to me, or you must surrender to me, as proper a man as ever went on four legs. Because that is what a man who walks on four legs should do. You must yield to me. And he says that it shall be said so again, while Stefano breathes at his nostrils. So I will repeat this again as long as I breathe from my nose. So it's all very confusing. Don't get confused. What he means to say is that he considers that he's a very brave man, especially when people drink, they become very brave. And Stefano is no exception. And he says that I did not escape drowning to be tormented by some kind of devil or some kind of monster. Now, if you are a man with four legs, you must surrender yourself to me. And I'll be repeating this sentence again and again. I'm not scared of you. So you better tell me who you are and surrender yourself to me. Because as long as I breathe through my nostrils, I am going to repeat this sentence again and again. So that is what he means to say. And then Caliban says, the spirit torments me. Oh, in the meantime, Caliban is under the mistaken notion that Trinculo is a spirit sent by Prospero, and he is once again screaming in fear. This spirit is tormenting me. Oh, and Stefano says, this is some monster of the isle with four legs. So now he makes an assumption, this must be some kind of monster. Now, why is this four-legged monster concept coming into being in this case? Simple reason is that the cloak is hiding the two bodies of Caliban and Trinculo, but their legs are sticking out. Now, the four legs that are sticking out are not sticking out from the same direction. Remember, two are sticking out from one direction and the other two are sticking out from the opposite direction. And the two bodies are underneath the cloak. So all he can see, all that Stefano can see, and Stefano is drunk, so he cannot even focus properly with his eyes, is that there is something lying on the ground with four legs sticking out on opposite directions. So now he jumps to the conclusion. He says that this must be some kind of monster which lives in this island and which has four legs, who hath got, as I take it, an ague. I think this monster is suffering from some kind of fever, because it is shivering. Now, actually, who is shivering? Actually, Caliban is shivering in fear, and Trinculo is trying to nudge him or press against him more and more because he is scared of the thunderclaps. So this is creating all the confusion, and Stefano is thinking that the monster is shivering because it is in some kind of fever. Where the devil should he learn our language? Now, Stefano, when second time when Caliban cried out, Stefano heard the words of Caliban, and so he says, where the devil did he learn our language? I will give him some relief if it be but for that. So even if it is for the language that he has spoken, my language that he has spoken, I'll try to give him some relief because he is suffering from fever. I am sure he is suffering. So I'll give him some relief. And what is Stefano's relief? By pouring some drink into the mouth of Caliban. So he says, if I can recover him and keep him tame and get to Naples with him, he is a present for any emperor that ever trod on neat's leather. If I can keep him with me, if I can tame him, domesticate him, and if I can take him with me to Naples, then he can be a gift for any king, any emperor who has ever walked on the surface of the earth wearing leather shoes. Neat's leather. Neat is supposed to be, the young one of a cow, or rather a calf. So calf leather is supposed to be very fine leather. And so any king who has worn leather shoes and walked on the surface of the earth will accept him as an extraordinary gift. So I will have to tame this creature and I'll have to take him with me to Naples. Earlier we have seen Trinculo thinking about it, and now we see Stefano thinking also in the same way about it. So that is where we stop for the day. So this is the end of page 69 of Act 2, Scene 2 of The Tempest. So we'll stop here for the day and we'll continue in our next video from page 70. So this much for today. Thank you.